Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to request Mr. Enrico Scarrone, Chair oneM2M Steering Committee, to deliver his talk on oneM2M global context. Mr. Enrico Scarrone.
Good afternoon to everybody. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
I think I have to become presenters in order to make the presentation and deliver the presentation. First of all, thanks very much for this invitation. And I'm also very happy of the talks before, which I think we're exactly focalizing one of the major issues in IoT. Now I'm wonder if you are able to see my screen or not with the presentation.
I can see your presentation, sir. Can anybody other confirm? Avan, sir, please.
So Shobhan, actually the digital is visible to us. You can make the presentation visible to all the participants of the session.
Yeah, this is visible to all of the participants. Yeah.
I'm not sure if you can see my presentation.
Yeah, so we can see your screen, sir.
Okay, perfect. So I can go. Okay, thank you very much. As is introduced, I'm here on behalf of oneM2M. I'm personally engaged in oneM2M at ETSI on behalf of my company, which is Telecom Italia Mobile, telco operator. So, first thing that I think is very important to highlight, and has been already well introduced, is the fact that IoT, what is about. At the very end, when we talk of IoT, we use a lot of different stuff coming from things, machine, and also human interaction. At the very end, the humans are the final user, direct or indirectly, of what the IoT is doing. And that's, for me, a very important part of the IoT picture. The other part, which is important, is actually the ability to interact with vertical business and existing ecosystem. When we think fragmentation in IoT, sometimes we tend to underestimate the level of fragmentation that exists, because even the bigger, well-known name are a very minimal part of the market, because the market is so fragmented when you go into the different vertical business that it's almost impossible to find one predominant solution in any of the sectors. In some very vertical sector exists, but not some. So for this reason, it's very important to the ability to build all together these things. So this vertical business, this vertical ecosystem that is, and the rest of the humans, in order to make better service, but more important, mixing the ecosystem, making new services. And in this sense, really for IoT, I tend to think that over internet, putting data in cloud is come together and be cross-correlated in order to build services, make new way of existing services. So it's IoT is all about sharing information, understanding and sharing information. And that the content of the information which is in with the data. At the very end, which cloud, which call, which API, which platform, and which edges function is a detail. It's an implementation which has the service of the rest. That's what's so important to have things is able to this thing together. without trying to have one single solution. In smart cities, very because is very, let me say, a very significant IoT case, because it needs to interact with the industry which are in the city, the device built by the industry, final US citizen, the authorities, their transportation systems, the system for ranging from measuring the pollution to waste management, water, energy. So that means really that you have to interact with a lot of things and with a lot of protocols and a lot of solutions. And that's why it's so important to have something which puts all these things together in a, let me say, in a parity way, without trying to colonize or to really absorb one solution in a specific ecosystem, but trying more to make the sum of the ecosystem. That's also a trend that is going by years. If you look at the past, the connectivity remote system for controlling stuff were already implemented in the 80s. But more we go in managing and more we go into the data, and more we have become closer from let me say, a telecontrol system, we become to something different, which is IoT. And now I think that very important that the next step is not only to have the ability to share the pure data, but to share the meaning and the understanding of the data. So at the very end, sharing the information which are included. In this introduction was just to explain the, let me say, at the very, in a very, let me say, general way, the reason for oneM2M to exist was exactly to put together all this stuff and try to make a modern system using the IT technologies available, even trying to project a little bit in innovation. That's why it was founded a lot of years ago, which is 2012. And we arrived to currently to more than 200 member organization.
Mr. Enrico, I'm sorry to interrupt. Actually, the slides that you are changing are not visible to us. So either you can ask the coordinators to change the slide.
Sir, we will change the slide. You let me know when to change, sir.
You just let us know when to change the slide. Yeah, for us, it is actually you are changing, but it is not visible to us.
That's what I asked. I was
supposed to switch the slides.
Okay, in this case, you can show for me. I'm currently on a slide 5.
Okay, so we are at 5 as well.
Yeah, thank you. So you are carried for me, slide 5.
Yes, sir. We are at slide number 5. You can go ahead and let me know, sir, when required to be changed.
Perfect. Thank you. Now, I said that that's the reason why oneM2M was essentially to be able to develop a solution which is in common for the different verticals and trying to put the ecosystem together. That was really the basic reason of why oneM2M was not another standard, but more a standard which is all the others, and try to make a common ecosystem without force anybody necessary to adopt fully one solution, but using oneM2M to communicate with other solution and inform data and information with the other solution. Now, it founded in 2012, so, based on some previous work made in Etsy. The solution was initially designed there with trying to put that in the solution all what is needed, especially in terms of security and access control, in order to have a very strong control over privacy of the data and who can access to what. What's happened is the mechanisms which have been built is exactly to start from the different verticals, getting requirements and writing specification. Then our technical specification, which are not yet standard, are becoming standard when I transpose it by the partner in the different region. If you can move to slide 6 now. That's exactly the mechanism where you see the different specification developed, which are transposed by the partner and become standards in the region. Hopefully, the specification, like it has happened today, are implemented without changes. In general, the change carried directly to oneM2M if changes are needed, and we try to find a solution which is suitable for all variants, respecting all the needs of the region. Then there are things which are important correlated to the development of a technical specification. One was mentioned before, that is the need of testing and certification. Now, what oneM2M is doing directly is to develop the specification for the testing. So the testing specification are developed inside oneM2M, and there are as well test event organized, currently organized mainly by HCTA, but we are organized also in India, even during this period, which was not so easy with making from a remote, but we make some interoperability tests, interoperability event and events, to assure that the implementation is correct, but also that the implementation of the test is correct. The tests are then are used to feed external, let me say, organizations which are not oneM2M, even are linked in some way to oneM2M, in order to make a certification program. Currently, the first one was developed by TTA for Korea, which was trying to implement oneM2M a little bit in advance with respect to other areas. And GCF is now, which is a global certification forum, is now engaged in this certification program. In this sense, I think that is very welcome, and at least from the oneM2M side, but I can speak also for ETSI side, we will try to give the maximum support to the creation of an Indian certification program. And if you need some, and to share also our experience in the testing, even you are already very well inside oneM2M. In this moment, so it's but anyhow you will have a maximum support. Now if you can go on slide 7, this is just to mind that when oneM2M is really currently developed in some countries, mainly in Europe, Korea. There are implementation in Japan, India, US, and Canada, and there is also some implementation in Vietnam. Is a mix. Some of them are really trials, some other are really commercial products, and there are also in different area products offering. One thing that is very important is that there are several open source projects you can find. There are several platforms which are working reasonably well. From Italia, I can tell you that we have actually 2 implementations of oneM2M running. One is on one of these open source solutions, the Korean one, but we have interworked several times with the another one for oneM2M. We also interface source on this is to also which is linked also to our telco offer of communication in that oneM2M to set as this aim of being global solution and is and integrating the vertical and mobility that the main value and what is one from other solution of the market rather than that. And I think that's what is important to create application and this development. Some people currently need in integration, moving this effort instead of redoing several times to point that's really the great boost of IoT. If you go to slide 8, it's just to remember that all the documentation on oneM2M.org is free to be accessed. There are the standards, but there are also some info here. There is a list of source resources. And implementation is not complete because not one. Let me say this. It's not about what the solution is sharing.
Mr. Scarrone, you have gone mute.
Mr. Enrico, it seems you're mute, and in view of time constraints, I would like to request you to kindly conclude it faster.
Oh.
Mr. Enrico, it seems you're getting mute again and again.
Now?
Yeah, now you are audible. In view of time constraints, I request you to kindly conclude it faster.
Where smart city
Mr. Enrico, it seems there are connectivity issues at your end. Ladies and gentlemen, it seems there are connectivity issues at Mr. Enrico's end. So we would like to move further in the conference.